Hello everyone, this is Earth Archives. Those of you who know anything about Native American history will know that John Ross was the longest-serving chief in the history of the Cherokee Nation and dedicated much of his life to opposing the forced removal of his people from their homeland. Sadly, he did this at a time when the U.S. government viewed Native Americans as nothing more than an obstacle to the new nation's aggressive westward expansion. Learn his story today. Before the show starts, please subscribe, share, and turn on the little bell. This will help us grow faster. Without further ado, the show begins. John Ross's leadership and resilience during one of the darkest periods in Cherokee history exemplify his unwavering commitment to his people's well-being and sovereignty. As principal chief for nearly 4 decades, Ross navigated treacherous political waters and tirelessly fought against the unjust policies of the U.S. government. Ross's diplomatic skills, fluency in both English and Cherokee, and deep understanding of federal law enabled him to effectively advocate for the Cherokee Nation in Washington, D.C. despite facing formidable opposition, including the annexation of Cherokee lands by the state of Georgia and the passage of the Indian Removal Act. Ross tenaciously defended Cherokee sovereignty and territorial rights. His efforts culminated in a prolonged legal and political battle, including multiple Supreme Court cases and countless negotiations with President Andrew Jackson, aimed at nullifying the fraudulent treaty that led to the Trail of Tears. Although ultimately unsuccessful in preventing the forced relocation of his people, Ross's unwavering determination and strategic acumen underscored his commitment to the Cherokee cause. Even in the aftermath of the Trail of Tears, Ross continued to advocate for the rights and welfare of the Cherokee people. He played a pivotal role in the Cherokee community's resettlement in Oklahoma and remained a steadfast voice for justice and equality throughout his life. John Ross's legacy as the longest-serving chief of the Cherokee Nation endures as a testament to his courage, resilience, and unwavering dedication to his people's survival and prosperity in the face of adversity. John Ross's early years. John Ross's upbringing reflects the complex interplay between Cherokee traditions and the influence of European culture in his life. Born into a mixed heritage, Ross was raised in a Cherokee matrilineal household, where he learned the traditions and values of his mother's people. Growing up in Turkeytown, within the Cherokee territory, Ross witnessed firsthand the encroachment of European settlers onto Cherokee lands, igniting his determination to defend the rights of his community. The Cherokees' adoption of certain European customs, such as Christianity, private property ownership, and slavery, contributed to their designation as one of the civilized tribes by Americans. Despite these adaptations, the Cherokee remained steadfast in preserving their cultural identity, establishing institutions like New Echota and the Cherokee Phoenix newspaper, which served as symbols of their sovereignty and resilience. Ross himself embodied this blend of Cherokee and European influences. While maintaining connections to his Cherokee heritage, he also embraced aspects of European culture, including formal education, Western attire, and participation in organizations like the Freemasons. As a prosperous planter and owner of enslaved individuals, Ross navigated the complexities of Cherokee society within the broader context of American expansionism and the institution of slavery. His multifaceted identity and experiences would shape his leadership style and approach to advocating for Cherokee rights in the face of increasing threats from the U.S. government and settler encroachment. As principal chief, Ross drew upon his diverse background to navigate the challenging political landscape and defend the interests of the Cherokee Nation during a tumultuous period in their history. Cherokees support Andrew Jackson in the Creek War. The Creek War of 1813 marked a significant chapter in John Ross's early involvement in military affairs and his relationship with General Andrew Jackson. Serving alongside hundreds of Cherokee warriors, Ross fought alongside Jackson's forces during the conflict, notably contributing to the pivotal Battle of Horseshoe Bend. The Cherokees' support played a crucial role in securing victory for the Americans and bolstering Jackson's reputation as a military leader. However, the outcome of the war would later be viewed with mixed feelings by some Cherokee, including Chief Junaluska, who expressed regret over their role in elevating Jackson's status. Recognizing the devastating consequences of Jackson's policies towards Native Americans, particularly his role in the forced removal of indigenous peoples from their homelands, Chief Junaluska expressed remorse over his support for Jackson during the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. The rift between Ross and Jackson would indeed deepen in the years following the Creek War, as the conflicting interests and approaches to Native American affairs became increasingly apparent. Despite their initial cooperation, Ross would emerge as a staunch advocate for Cherokee sovereignty and rights, often finding himself at odds with Jackson's expansionist policies and disregard for tribal autonomy. This tension would ultimately culminate in the bitter struggle over the Indian Removal Act and the tragic Trail of Tears, underscoring the complex and fraught dynamics between Native American leaders and the U.S. government during this period of American history. Ross's rise to prominence. John Ross's early experiences and upbringing within Cherokee territory equipped him with a deep understanding of tribal history and a strong commitment to advocating for Cherokee rights. Following his service in the Creek War, Ross became increasingly involved in diplomatic efforts to defend Cherokee interests against encroachments by the U.S. government. In 1816, Ross joined a delegation to protest the Treaty of Fort Jackson, which threatened to strip vast swathes of Indian territory. Their successful efforts to convince Secretary of War William H. Crawford to address their grievances further fueled tensions with Andrew Jackson, who harbored a deep animosity towards Native Americans. Ross's tenure as president of the Cherokee Nation Council from 1819 to 1826 coincided with escalating efforts by state commissioners to coerce the Cherokee into ceding their lands. His steadfast resistance to these pressures resulted in personal hardships, including imprisonment and the loss of his home. In 1828, Ross ascended to the position of principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, assuming leadership during a critical period in the tribe's history. His close collaboration with Major Ridge, a respected Cherokee warrior, underscored the importance of unity and strategic counsel within the Cherokee leadership. Together, Ross and Ridge would navigate the complex challenges facing the Cherokee Nation as they confronted mounting threats to their sovereignty and territorial integrity. Cherokee land battles heat up. John Ross dedicated much of his leadership to resisting the implementation of the Indian Removal Act, championed by President Andrew Jackson. Despite Jackson's efforts to convince some Cherokees to relocate west of the Mississippi River, Ross staunchly opposed the forced removal of his people from their ancestral lands. As early as 1822, the Cherokee Nation, under Ross's guidance, took a firm stance against further land cessions, asserting their right to remain on their territory. The establishment of infrastructure such as courthouses and council houses at New Echota underscored the Cherokees' commitment to maintaining their sovereignty and self-governance. In response to mounting pressures and illegal encroachments by white settlers, the Cherokee took decisive action to protect their lands. Major Ridge, a prominent Cherokee leader, led efforts to remove illegal squatters and even participated in raids against settlers' homes. However, these defensive measures only exacerbated tensions and ultimately paved the way for the passage of the Indian Removal Act by Congress in 1830. President Jackson's fervent advocacy for Indian removal reflected a broader vision of westward expansion and the perceived benefits of American civilization. His rhetoric framed the forced relocation of Native Americans as necessary for the advancement of American prosperity and civilization, despite the profound injustices it inflicted upon indigenous peoples. Despite Ross's valiant efforts to resist Indian removal, the Cherokee Nation, along with other southeastern tribes, would face the tragic consequences of forced relocation, culminating in the devastating Trail of Tears in 1838 and 1839. Treaty of New Echota. John Ross's relentless advocacy against the encroachment on Cherokee sovereignty led to significant legal victories, including a landmark Supreme Court ruling that invalidated Georgia's laws undermining Cherokee autonomy. However, internal divisions within the Cherokee Nation, exacerbated by external pressures and the allure of relocation deals, ultimately weakened their resistance to forced removal. The signing of the Treaty of New Echota in 1835, negotiated by a small faction of Cherokees led by individuals like Major Ridge, represented a pivotal moment of betrayal for Ross and those who opposed removal. Despite Ross's efforts to secure fair terms for the Cherokee Nation, the treaty's terms fell far short of their demands, leading to bitter divisions within Cherokee society. Ross's impassioned protests against the treaty underscored the devastating consequences it would inflict upon the Cherokee people. His poignant description of their plight, stripped of their rights and subjected to violence and dispossession, resonated with the profound injustice of their forced relocation. The harrowing events of the Trail of Tears, marked by the brutal roundup and incarceration of thousands of Cherokee and the appalling conditions endured during their forced march to Oklahoma Territory, represented a dark chapter in American history. Ross, despite his valiant efforts, could not prevent this tragedy from unfolding, but he remained steadfast in his commitment to serving as a leader for his people in the face of adversity. Ross's enduring leadership during and after the Trail of Tears, spanning the tumultuous years of the Civil War and beyond, exemplifies his unwavering dedication to the Cherokee Nation's resilience and survival in the face of overwhelming challenges. His legacy as a defender of Cherokee rights and sovereignty continues to resonate today, serving as a reminder of the enduring struggle for justice and dignity in the face of oppression. Lingering divisions among the Cherokee. The legacy of the Treaty of New Echota continues to evoke deep emotions and divisions within the Cherokee Nation, reflecting the enduring impact of this controversial agreement on tribal sovereignty and unity. The execution of 3 signatories, including prominent figures like Elias Boudinot, Major Ridge, and John Ridge, serves as a stark reminder of the profound consequences of their actions in violating tribal laws forbidding further land concessions. The tragic events surrounding the treaty signing, including the violent deaths of individuals like John Ridge, underscore the enduring scars left on Cherokee society and the ongoing struggle to reconcile differing perspectives on this pivotal moment.